Welcome to our deep dive, where we're going to be cracking open Yuval Noah Harari's Sapiens to explore a question that's as old as humanity itself, what unites us. Now, before you think we're about to launch into some feel-good kumbaya session, let me stop you right there. We're going to delve into the nitty-gritty, the sometimes messy, often surprising forces that have been drawing humans together for millennia.
It's not about painting a utopian picture. It's about understanding the complex web of factors, some quite brutal, that have shaped our interconnected world.
Okay, I'm already intrigued.
Good.
So, if we're not talking about utopian ideals, where do we start? What's the common thread that connects, say, a farmer in ancient Mesopotamia to a software engineer in Silicon Valley?
Well, one of the most powerful contenders, and perhaps the most surprising, is money. Harari makes a compelling case for money as this universal language, a shared understanding of value that transcends time and cultures.
I can see how that works on a practical level, but isn't there something deeper going on?
Absolutely. Think about it. For money to function, there has to be a collective belief in its value. It's not tangible like a cow or a bushel of wheat. It represents something much more abstract. A promise of exchange, a store of value that we all agree to uphold.
So it's almost like a shared fiction that we've all collectively bought into.
Exactly. And that shared fiction, if you will, has enabled incredibly complex trade networks. Connecting people across vast distances and facilitating the exchange of goods, ideas, and even technologies.
So that ancient Mesopotamian farmer could trade his surplus grain for tools or pottery. Just as our Silicon Valley engineer can buy, well, let's say an overpriced latte with his crypto earnings. I guess some things never change.
You've got a point there.
The
The things we assign value to can certainly seem arbitrary at times. But that's part of what makes money such a fascinating force. It shapes our desires, influences our behavior, and ultimately connects us in ways we might not even realize.
Okay, so money is one thread in this tapestry of human connection, but it can't be the whole story, right? What about things like political structures or shared beliefs? Didn't those play a role?
You're absolutely right. Let's talk about empires, for example. Now, I know what you're thinking. Empires, with their conquests and often brutal regimes, don't exactly scream unification, do they?
Not exactly a warm and fuzzy image, no. But I'm sensing there's a but coming.
There is. Here's the thing. Empires, despite often arising through domination and violence, inadvertently ended up connecting diverse populations in unexpected ways. Think of the Roman Empire, for instance. Their vast network of roads, built primarily for military efficiency, also facilitated trade and communication across their vast territories.
So it's like, we're going to conquer you, but hey, at least you'll get a decent road out of it.
You could say that. But it goes beyond infrastructure. Empires often imposed legal codes and administrative systems, creating a degree of standardization across their domains.
Interesting.
And perhaps most importantly, they facilitated the exchange of ideas and technologies, even if unintentionally.
It's like this forced mixing pot of cultures, all simmering under the umbrella of imperial rule.
A rather messy mixing pot at times, yes. But it's undeniable that empires, despite their flaws, played a significant role in shaping our interconnected world. They brought people together who might otherwise have never interacted, and that had lasting consequences.
Speaking of things with lasting consequences and a knack for bringing people together, let's turn our attention to religion. It's hard to deny the role religion has played in shaping human societies and creating a sense of shared identity.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't you say?
Religion is a fascinating example of how shared beliefs and rituals can transcend cultural and geographical boundaries. Think about religions like Christianity, Islam, or Buddhism, each with millions of adherents spread across the globe. What connects them, despite their often vast differences in culture and language, is this shared set of beliefs, moral codes, and practices.
It's almost like joining a global fan club. With different chapters all over the world, but united by a common devotion.
I like that analogy. Religions offer this sense of belonging to something larger than oneself. a community that extends far beyond one's immediate surroundings. And that sense of belonging can be incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Motivating people to act collectively, to build institutions, and even to wage wars.
Right, because it's not all sunshine and roses. Religion has also been a source of conflict and division throughout history.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
The same forces that can unite people under a shared faith can also be used to justify intolerance and violence against those who hold different beliefs.
It's like this double-edged sword.
Right.
On one hand, religion fosters a sense of community and shared purpose.
Yeah.
On the other,
Yeah.
it can be used to justify some pretty horrific acts.
That inherent contradiction is part of what makes religion such a complex and powerful force in human history.
Okay.
And it's something that Harari grapples with throughout Sapiens. He doesn't shy away from the darker aspects of religion.
Right.
But he also acknowledges its undeniable role in shaping our interconnected world.
So we've got money, empires, and religion all playing their part in this grand narrative of human unification. It's a pretty diverse cast of characters, wouldn't you say?
It is indeed.
Yeah.
And as Harari shows us, the story doesn't end there. He brings us right into the modern age with what's arguably the most potent unifying force we've seen yet.
Oh!
The internet.
Ah, the internet.
Right.
The ultimate connector. For better or worse. But before we dive into that digital rabbit hole, I think we need to take a step back and consider the bigger picture.
Okay.
What does it actually mean to talk about the unification of humankind? Are we talking about some sort of utopian ideal where everyone holds hands and sings Kumbaya?
Not quite.
Okay.
It's more about recognizing the trends,
Right.
the forces that have been drawing us closer together.
Yeah.
For better or worse, over thousands of years.
Okay.
It's about understanding how we've gone from isolated bands of hunter-gatherers to a globally interconnected species,
Right.
facing shared challenges and opportunities.
Right, because it's not like we've magically erased our differences or solved all our problems. We still have conflicts.
Yeah.
Inequalities, and a whole host of issues that divide us. But there's also this undeniable sense that we're more connected than ever before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Because understanding how we got here, the forces that have shaped our interconnected world can help us navigate the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead.
Right.
And that, I think, is the real value of Harari's work. He doesn't offer simple answers.
Okay.
But he gives us a framework for thinking about these complex issues in a new light.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork, explored some of the key players in this grand narrative of human unification.
Right.
Now, I'm ready to dive deeper into the digital age and see how the internet fits into this whole picture.
Okay.
But for now, let's take a quick break,
right,
and we'll pick up the thread in part 2 of our deep dive.
Sounds good.
Don't go anywhere.
Okay. Picking up where we left off this journey toward unification, and a journey isn't about erasing our differences or creating some bland, homogenous global culture.
You're right, because where's the fun in that?
Right.
Seriously, though, wouldn't that kind of defeat the whole purpose of connection?
Precisely.
Okay.
The beauty of human connection lies in our diversity.
Yeah.
And the unique perspectives and experiences that each individual, each culture brings to the table.
Okay.
It's like, and I know analogies can be tricky, but imagine a giant potluck where everyone brings their best dish.
Okay, I'm with you, as long as no one shows up with fruitcake.
Well, exactly.
Okay.
But even with the best intentions and the most delicious spread, things can get messy when different tastes and preferences clash.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is the crux of the challenge.
Because, let's be real, history is full of examples of cultural misunderstandings and clashes. We're getting better at connecting, but not always at understanding.
That's a really important observation.
Right.
How do we navigate our differences in a way that fosters understanding rather than division?
Right.
How do we create a world where our shared humanity outweighs our tribal instincts? These are the questions that Sapiens forces us to confront.
And does Harari offer any answers?
Well, he suggests that recognizing our shared history, our common ancestry, is a good place to start.
Okay.
He takes us on this incredible journey through the evolution of humankind,
Right.
highlighting those milestones that have shaped our collective story. He reminds us that despite our superficial differences, language, culture, political beliefs, we all share a common origin.
It's like we're all branches on this giant sprawling family tree.
Yeah.
Some branches have grown in some pretty wild directions over the millennia,
Right.
but we're all ultimately connected to that same trunk.
Exactly. And understanding those shared roots can help us see beyond our immediate differences and recognize the fundamental humanity that connects us all.
Okay.
Remember that passage where Harari talks about how genetically humans are remarkably homogeneous?
Oh, yeah.
It's less than 0.1% that makes us different from one another.
Wow, I had forgotten about that.
Yeah.
It really puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
It does. It underscores the idea that our shared history, our common ancestry, is far more significant than the things that divide us.
So it's about finding that balance between appreciating our unique cultural identities and recognizing our shared human essence.
Mm-hmm.
It's a delicate dance, but it seems crucial if we want to create a world where connection leads to something deeper than just, arguing about pineapple on pizza on the internet.
You've got a point there.
Yeah.
But you've also hit on something really important.
Okay.
The internet, this technology that's supposed to connect us, can just as easily become a tool for amplifying our differences.
Right. It's like this double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
On one hand, it has the potential to break down barriers and foster global collaboration. On the other hand, it can create echo chambers and filter bubbles where we only interact with people who share our views, reinforcing our biases and making it even harder to bridge those divides.
Exactly.
Right.
And to complicate things further, we have the rise of artificial intelligence and algorithms that are shaping the information we see. The choices we make, and ultimately how we perceive the world.
Okay, so maybe hold on a sec.
Okay.
You're losing me a bit.
Right.
What exactly are filter bubbles and echo chambers?
Okay.
And how are algorithms shaping our reality?
Yeah.
This is starting to feel a little bit like we're stepping into the matrix here.
You're not wrong to feel that way.
Okay.
Let me explain.
Okay.
Filter bubbles are essentially online environments that are personalized to your interests and preferences.
Okay.
Algorithms track your online activity and then curate the content you see, showing you more of what you already like and agree with.
So it's like having a personal assistant who only ever tells you what you want to hear.
Right.
Seems pretty cozy.
Yeah.
But maybe not the best way to broaden your horizons, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
The problem is that when we're constantly exposed to the same information and perspectives, we can become isolated in our own little echo chambers.
Okay, echo chambers.
Yes.
Explain that one.
Think of it like this. An echo chamber is an environment where the same ideas and beliefs are constantly repeated and amplified, creating this feedback loop that reinforces those beliefs, regardless of whether they're actually true or accurate.
Okay, I'm starting to see the problem here.
Yeah.
We get trapped in these online bubbles surrounded by people who think and believe the same things we do.
Right.
And we lose the ability to engage with different perspectives, challenge our own assumptions, and have those productive, even uncomfortable conversations that are so crucial to growth.
Exactly. And the scary part is that these algorithms are becoming increasingly sophisticated, learning our preferences and tailoring our online experiences in ways that we might not even be aware of.
Okay.
It's like this invisible hand guiding our choices, shaping our perceptions of the world without us even realizing it.
So what can we do about it?
Wow.
Should we all just ditch our smartphones and go live off the grid?
I wouldn't recommend that technology is here to stay. And as Harari points out, it has the potential to be a powerful force for good.
Okay.
The key is to use it wisely, to be mindful of its limitations. And to engage in critical thinking about the information we consume and the choices we make online.
So it's about being more than just passive consumers of technology.
Right.
We need to become active participants, shaping these tools to serve our needs rather than the other way around.
Exactly.
Okay.
We need to cultivate media literacy, to question assumptions, and to actively seek out diverse perspectives.
So like be open-minded, basically.
Yeah. Think of it like this. If you only ever eat one type of food, your palate never develops.
Yeah.
And you miss out on a whole world of flavors.
Okay, I can definitely get behind that.
Yeah.
I'm all for expanding my metaphorical palate.
Good.
But let's be honest, it's easy to get overwhelmed in today's hyper-connected world.
Right.
There's so much information coming at us from all directions.
Yeah.
How do we even begin to sift through it all and make sense of it?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And it's precisely why it's more important than ever to develop those critical thinking skills.
Okay.
To learn how to evaluate sources, identify biases, and distinguish between fact and opinion.
Right.
It's about becoming informed, engaged citizens, not just passive consumers of information.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a tall order, wouldn't you say?
It is.
Yeah.
But it's a challenge we need to embrace if we want to harness the power of technology for good,
right,
for connection, for understanding, rather than allowing it to divide us further.
I think this is a good point to wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We've explored some pretty heady concepts, from the unifying power of shared narratives to the potential pitfalls of our digital age.
Right.
But I think it's important to end on a note of, well, hope, wouldn't you say? Because if we're going to navigate these challenges and create a future where connection trumps division,
right,
we need to believe that it's possible.
I completely agree. And Harari, despite being a realist, never loses sight of the potential for human progress.
Right.
He reminds us that the story of humankind is still being written, and it's up to us to decide what kind of story we want to tell.
Well, on that note of cautious optimism, let's take another quick break.
All right.
We'll be back in part 3 to explore some of the potential roadblocks and opportunities that lie ahead as we continue this journey towards a more interconnected world.
Okay.
Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to our deep dive into the unification of humankind. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
From ancient empires to the internet.
Yeah.
From the unifying power of money to the complexities of our digital age.
Absolutely.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. And as we look to the future, it's clear that the forces driving unification are only going to intensify.
Right.
Globalization, technology, the interconnectedness of our world.
Right.
These are trends that show no signs of slowing down.
It's both exciting and a bit daunting.
It is.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like we're standing on the precipice of a new frontier with all its promise and peril.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so crucial to engage in these conversations.
Right.
To grapple with the complexities of our shared future. And to consider the choices we face as individuals and as a global community.
Okay, so let's dive into some of those challenges and opportunities.
Okay.
What are some of the potential roadblocks we might encounter on this path toward a more unified world?
Well, one of the most significant challenges is the rise of nationalism and populism.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen this play out in recent years with the resurgence of anti-immigrant sentiment, protectionist trade policies, and a general retreat from global cooperation.
It's like we're taking a step backward,
Yeah.
clinging to outdated notions of national identity in a world that's becoming increasingly interconnected.
It can certainly feel that way. But it's important to remember that these trends are not inevitable.
Right.
History is full of twists and turns. And the pendulum can swing back towards cooperation and integration just as easily as it swings toward isolationism.
True.
What's important is that we're aware of these forces.
Okay.
That we understand the underlying anxieties and grievances that fuel them.
Right.
And that we actively work to counter them.
So what can we do to counter these divisive forces?
Well,
what can we do to ensure that the pendulum swings in the right direction?
One crucial step is to challenge the narratives of fear and division that are often peddled by populist leaders.
Right.
We need to promote critical thinking, media literacy, and a more nuanced understanding of complex global issues.
It's about recognizing that the world is not black and white.
Right.
That there are shades of gray, and that simple solutions rarely address complex problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We need to engage in constructive dialogue, even with those with whom we disagree, and recognize that we have more in common than what divides us.
It's about remembering our shared humanity, even when it's difficult.
Precisely.
Okay.
And that brings us to another crucial point.
Right.
The importance of empathy and understanding.
Yes.
Yeah.
The ability to see the world through someone else's eyes. To walk a mile in their shoes.
Yeah.
Even if those shoes were a different size or style than our own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cultivating empathy is essential to bridging divides and building a more just and equitable world.
Right.
It's about recognizing that everyone has a story. Everyone has their own unique set of experiences and perspectives.
Yeah.
And that by listening to those stories, we can begin to break down the barriers that divide us.
But how do we do that on a global scale? It seems like such a daunting task.
It is.
Yeah.
But I believe that education,
Okay.
cultural exchange, and storytelling can play a powerful role in fostering empathy and understanding. Think about the power of literature,
Yeah.
film
Yeah.
music, and art.
Right.
These forms of expression allow us to step outside of our own limited perspectives and experience the world through the eyes of others.
You know, that reminds me of something Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie said about the danger of a single story.
Oh, yeah.
She argued that when we only hear one narrative about a person or a culture, we limit our understanding and perpetuate stereotypes.
That's such an important point.
Right.
Exposure to diverse perspectives through literature, film, music, and art can help us to break down those barriers and see the world with fresh eyes.
It's about expanding our horizons, challenging our assumptions, and recognizing the shared humanity that binds us together.
Exactly.
All right.
And that brings us to another critical opportunity.
Okay.
The potential for technology to connect us in unprecedented ways.
Right. We talked earlier about how technology can be a double-edged sword. But if we use it wisely, it can be a powerful tool for fostering connection and understanding.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Social media, for example, can be a platform for amplifying voices that have traditionally been marginalized, for sharing stories across cultures, and for building bridges of empathy.
It's about using technology to connect, not to divide.
Exactly.
Right.
And that brings us to one final thought.
Okay.
The importance of hope.
Hope.
Yes.
In a world that often feels so full of division and despair.
Hope. Because without hope, without the belief that a better future is possible, we're likely to succumb to cynicism and apathy.
It's hope that fuels our actions.
Right.
That drives us to work towards a more just and equitable world, even when the odds seem stacked against us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's hope that ultimately unites us,
Right.
reminding us that we're all in this together, striving towards a common goal.
Yeah.
A world where our shared humanity triumphs over our differences.
Well said. And on that note of hope and possibility, we'll wrap up our deep dive into the unification of humankind.
Okay.
It's been an incredible journey, and I hope you've come away with a renewed sense of wonder and inspiration. Remember, the future is not predetermined. It's a canvas waiting to be painted with the colors of our choices, our actions, and our collective imagination.
Indeed. And as Harari reminds us, the story of humanity is still being written. Let's make it a story worth telling. A story of unity, empathy, and hope.